सर हे चालू झालंय सर आता. Okay. Am I audible? Hello. Hello. Okay, quick revision of the thing that we did yesterday. What did we discuss yesterday? Utility. So what is utility? Utility is the want satisfying power of a commodity. Okay, then we further discussed about there are two major things of utility, that is, or first we'll discuss the features of utility, in which we remember the sentence of SRK को UPSC में क्या question पूछा? Beam case. So S stands for subjective concept. R stands for relative concept. Then utility is different from usefulness. T different from pleasure. S utility is different from satisfaction, and T stands for UPS. E stands for ethically neutral. So BHIM. B stands for basis of utility is the basis of demand. H stands for hypothetical measurement, means what? Utility can be or cannot be counted in numbers. Then BHI stands for utility depends upon the intensity, and last M stands for multi-purpose. Correct. So these were the features of utility. Then we further discussed about the two important concepts of utility. That first one was total utility, second is marginal utility. So what is the meaning of total utility? Total utility is the utility derived from all the units of commodities consumed. Okay, and marginal utility is the utility derived from last or additional unit of commodity consumed. Okay, then we started discussing about the relationship of TU and MU. So what is the relationship? For that we can remember the four major points or four major concepts. That is, initially TU and MU will be same. Initially, you can remember this thing in 4 points. So first you have to remember TU and MU will be same. Then further we saw, then when TU increases, marginal utility decreases. Then when TU is maximum, MU will be 0. And lastly we saw this point is known as point of satiety. Correct. And last thing that we discussed was when TU starts decreasing, marginal utility goes in negative quadrant. These are the 4 important points. Okay, so shall we draw a graph regarding it, or you're able to remember it? We'll draw or no? You'll remember? Okay, fine. So these are the 4 things that you need to mention. This is again one of the important questions. You can assume this question for 4 marks. Okay, what is the relationship between TU and MU? This question can be asked for 4 marks. So first thing you will write what is the meaning of TU, what is the meaning of MU. Then you will show a schedule, then graph. After graph, you will explain this. Okay, you can explain this thing just in 4 points, but you need to show all these things. Okay. So shall we start with the law of DMU then? Okay, I'll just erase this first, and then we'll start with the law of DMU. So what is the full form of DMU? Diminishing marginal utility. So what is marginal utility? Marginal utility is the utility derived from last or additional unit of commodity consumed, right? So here, what are we going to remember is we are going to see the relationship between number of units, and second thing will be marginal utility. Okay, when you are asked about the relationship of TU and MU, you have to remember 3 things. One is total utility, second is marginal utility, and third will be number of units consumed. Okay, total utility and marginal utility will be shown on which axis? X-axis or Y-axis? Total utility and marginal utility will be shown on which axis? Recollect it, X or Y? Total utility and marginal utility will be on Y-axis, and number of units consumed will be on X-axis. Okay, now we'll see the relationship between, now we'll see the law of diminishing marginal utility. Okay, so what is this law explaining? This law is explaining the relationship between marginal utility and units. Okay, so in the introduction you will write that this law was firstly introduced by whom? Gaussian. Initially this law was explained by Gaussian, and further it was explained in detail by Alfred Marshall. Okay, so we'll just remember Gaussian had explained this law, and later it was explained by Alfred Marshall. Okay, so what does Alfred Marshall say? Any law, for any of the law, the first thing that you need to remember is other things will always be constant. Okay, so then what are the things that are going to change? Only marginal utility will change, and the units of commodities consumed will change. Rest of all the things will remain constant. Okay, so what has been explained by Alfred Marshall in this law? He says as you consume more units, marginal utility will go on decreasing. Okay, so he says other things remaining constant, marginal utility goes on decreasing with every additional unit of commodity consumed. With every additional unit of commodity consumed. Okay, so this is what Alfred Marshall said in this law. So what, again, we'll just revise what is he saying? Other things remaining constant, marginal utility goes on decreasing with every additional unit of commodity consumed. Okay, so to explain this thing, we'll just remember whenever you'll get a question of explain the law and assumptions. What is this law? So first thing what you're going to do is firstly you will explain the introduction, that who has explained this laws. All the laws, may it be demand, supply or utility, the law of utility, everything, all these laws are being explained by Alfred Marshall. The statement for all these things will begin with other things remaining constant. So what is the statement? Other things being constant, marginal utility goes on decreasing with every additional unit of commodity consumed. Okay, so we'll just see first, after explaining the law or after explaining the sentence, next thing what are you going to do is you will show a schedule. Okay, so in schedule, what are you going to explain? First, you will draw a column for units, and second will be for marginal utility. Okay, so we can take 5 units. You tell me what should be the utility. 5 units. Yeah, for 5 units. 10. We have to reduce it. Okay, so 10. 6 units. 10, 6. Okay. No, we'll take it in a proper way. Okay. No, we have to show it in just a minute. I'll draw it. We will take it as, say, 6. No, we'll take it as 4. We'll take it as 4, 2, 0. We can take it 6. I'll take it 6. I'm so sorry. Okay. Just a minute. Okay, so we'll take it as 6, 4, 2, 0, and last will be -2. Okay. So what we can explain that marginal utility क्या होते जाती है? Marginal utility decrease होते जाती है. When is marginal utility decreasing? When more units of commodities are being consumed. Okay. So which is the x-axis? Which is the y-axis? Horizontal is x, vertical is y. Okay. So what are we going to show on the y-axis? On the we'll show marginal utility. On x-axis we'll show units. Okay. So what are the units? It is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These are the 5 units that are going to show the marginal utility. So it is 6, 4, 2, 0, and -2. Okay. So why is marginal utility decreasing? Because it is showing dissatisfaction. Okay. Example, if you purchase a new mobile. So when you purchase it, the utility will be maximum. It will be more. And as you start using it, the utility for that commodity is going to decrease. Okay. And after a year or two, you will say that this mobile is not providing me with any kind of utility. You will show dissatisfaction, and then you are going to purchase a new commodity, right? So in the same way, as the person is consuming more number of units continuously, his utility is going to decrease. Okay. So when first unit is consumed, marginal utility was 6, right? See, this is the way, and of course I am unable to show it properly. Just okay. So are you able to understand how we are going to draw that points? When marginal utility is when the number of second unit is being consumed, marginal utility is 4. So this is our second point that we have got, right? When marginal utility, when third unit is consumed, marginal utility is 2. When fourth unit is consumed, marginal utility is 0. And when fifth unit is consumed, marginal utility is showing -2. That is, it is showing dissatisfaction, right? So the utility curve is moving in which direction? Is it downward sloping? Right? So this is our marginal utility curve. So what are we trying to explain? That marginal utility curve is sloping downwards as it is showing. What is it showing? It is diminishing. So as the law explains, marginal utility goes on decreasing with every additional unit of commodity consumed. Can you see that the marginal utility is decreasing? Yes. So can we say marginal utility curve is negative, or it is downward sloping and further it becomes negative? Is that clear? It is downward sloping from which direction? Left to right, right? And at this point of at the fourth unit, it is showing maximum satisfaction, and over here, that is on fifth unit, it is showing dissatisfaction. Okay, when that product is not satisfying any of your want, it is going to show dissatisfaction. So this is the way in which you have to explain the law. So the law says that marginal utility is going on decreasing, and it is decreasing with every additional unit of commodity consumed. Okay, so when you can take the example of say any of the product which you're going to eat for the very first time. Will it give you pleasure? Will you be happy after eating it? Yes. Will you be satisfied? Yes. But as you consume more of that same unit, will your utility decrease? Yes, your utility is going to decrease, right? First time color खूप छान वाटला. Second time you are satisfied. Third time, fourth time, fifth time, if you're eating Domino's pizza, every time you're eating the same pizza, for the fifth, sixth time you'll say no. Now I don't want to have this pizza. I want to try something new. So can we say that utility is decreasing? So what can we say? That marginal utility is decreasing with every additional unit of commodity consumed. Okay, is that clear? Is the law clear to every one of you all? Okay, so shall we read it from the book? You all want me to read it? Same thing that we studied, that the law is explained by Professor Alfred Marshall in which book? Alfred Marshall has written the book Principle of Economics. So what does it say? Other things remaining constant, marginal utility or the additional benefit which a person is going to get will go on decreasing. Okay, now we'll see what are the assumptions for this thing. Okay, are these assumptions true? No, the assumptions are never true. Okay, so for assumptions we had made a sentence. Do you all remember it? Yeah, right. I'll just use another color pen so that it will be easy for you all to remember. Okay, so now we'll see the assumptions. Okay, so what are assumptions? Are these assumptions always true? The answer is no. These assumptions may be unrealistic. Then why do we apply this, or why do we use this assumptions? To understand the law in a more proper and better way. Okay, so what are the assumptions? RR में HSC की एग्जाम कहाँ पे दी? CCD में दी. Okay, remember this sentence and you will be able to remember all the assumptions regarding diminishing marginal utility. So first R stands for rationality. Okay, so the person on whom we are going to try this law, the person should be a rational person. What is the meaning of the word rational? He should be of a sound mind. He should not be insane, and he should understand all the things that are happening all around. So first thing it speaks about that the person on whom we are going to try this law, the person should be a rational person. Second R stands for reasonability. First R is speaking about the person on whom we are going to try the law. Second R is speaking about the product, about the commodity. It is speaking about the unit. So what is this? What are they saying? That the unit should be of a reasonable size. It shouldn't be too big, nor it should be too small. Example they have like if we want to try the utility of water for a thirsty man, so are we going to use a spoon? No. Can we try a big 1 liter bottle? No. 1 liter bottle will be too big. The spoon will be too small. So can we use glasses instead of using these two things? Yes. So can we say that a reasonable unit will be a glass of water? Right? If I give you one large size pizza and then I ask you to try the utility, will it be enough or appropriate unit? No, the product will be too big. After consuming the first unit, you will be totally satisfied. Your hunger will be satisfied to the maximum level. So the unit is too big in this example. So here they are saying that the unit on which you're going to try that product shouldn't be too big, neither it should be very small. Okay, so first R stands for rationality. Second is speaking about reasonability. Third is speaking about H. H is speaking about homogeneous. So what is the meaning of homogeneous? Means exactly same. The same in what? Same in shape, size, color, taste. All the things should be exactly similar to one another. So H is also speaking about the product. So the product which you're going to eat, it should be exactly, or the product that you're going to consume, the product that you're going to buy should be it should always be same. If you buy different products, is your utility going to decrease? No. So if you want to try this law, the law of DMU, the product which you're going to consume should be exactly similar. Okay. Every time you're eating Lay's and every time you're purchasing the chips of different flavors, will your utility decrease? No. But every time if you're eating Lay's and every time if you're eating it of the same flavor, will your utility decrease? Yes. So here they are saying, if you want to check the utility, if you want to check the law of DMU, the product which you're going to eat should be, or the product which you're going to consume should be similar. Like the product you will buy, you will consume, you will eat, it should be exactly similar to one another. Okay. Then next is S. S stands for single one. The product should be used for a single purpose. Okay, we saw in the features of utility that the product has multi-purpose uses, right? But again, to make the law easy, Alfred Marshall assumed certain kind of assumptions, and one of it is single use. So the product which you're going to use should have only a single purpose. Okay, if you're getting milk, that milk should be used for the same purpose. To drink, to make coffee or to make tea, you should use that product only for a single purpose. If you're making different variations of that product, will your utility decrease? No. Like one day, if you buy milk and you make cold coffee out of it, you make hot coffee, you make tea out of it, you drink the milk as it is, you'll drink hot milk, you will make curd out of it, will your utility decrease? No. Why? Because every time you're making something new out of it. So Alfred Marshall assumed that the product should be used for making, or the product should have only a single use. If it is having many uses, your utility is not going to decrease. Okay. Then next, E speaks about what? Sorry, it was HSC exam. I'm so sorry. So next, C is speaking about cardinal measurement. What is the meaning of the word cardinal measurement? You should be able to count utility in numbers. Is it possible in reality? Can you count utility? No. Why? Because utility is an abstract thing. We discussed in features yesterday, utility cannot be counted in numbers. You can either say that how much amount of satisfaction, or you can either say I am satisfied, I am dissatisfied, but can you exactly count it in numbers? No. But Alfred Marshall assumed that utility can be counted in numbers. Why he made this assumptions? Because with the help of this assumption, we are able to show the graph, we are able to show the schedule of diminishing marginal utility. So he assumes that utility can be counted in numbers. Okay. Then next C stands for continuity. So here he says that all the units which you're going to consume should be consumed continuously. If there is a time interval amongst the consumption of the units, you won't be satisfied, or the utility will not decrease. Okay, like if you're eating Maggie after every week, you're eating it once a week, or after every 2 days, after every 3 days, are you eating that product continuously? No. There is a time interval. So will your utility decrease? No. On the other hand, if you're given Maggie in each and every meal of yours, will your utility decrease? Yes. If you're giving one bowl of Maggie and then again the second, then third, then fourth, will your utility decrease? Yes, because you're giving the units one after the other. Continuously you're giving those units, right? So here they're saying that the commodity the units should be consumed continuously. Then you can find dissatisfaction. Then you will be able to find out that the utility is decreasing. Okay, आज सुबह चपाती खाई, शाम को चपाती खाई, टाइम इंटरवल है, यूटिलिटी डिक्रीज होगी क्या? नहीं. बट पहली चपाती खाई, फिर तुरंत उसके बाद सेकंड खाई, फिर थर्ड खाई, will your utility decrease? Yes. Why? Because you're consuming those units continuously. So the next, so the assumption is the unit should be consumed continuously. Then next C stands for constant. So next C stands for constant, where they are trying to say that the units, that all the other factors should remain constant. Which are those other factors? Like price of the product, taste, habit, fashion, all those things should remain constant. Means you should consume the same unit again and again. Okay. And last, D stands for divisibility. Divisibility speaks about the unit which you're going to consume, which you're going to purchase, should be such that you can divide that units in you can divide the unit in smaller parts. Okay, so these are the assumptions which are being explained by Professor Alfred Marshall. So we'll just revise it once again. First R stands for rationality. Rationality is speaking about who? Person or the product? Person. Next R stands for reasonability. The product which you're going to consume should be of a reasonable size. It shouldn't be too big nor too small. Next, H stands for homogeneity. Homogeneity speaks about all the units that are being consumed should be homogeneous. It should be of the same size, shape, everything should be exactly similar. Next, S speaks about single purpose. The product which you're going to purchase, which you're going to consume, should be used for one purpose. If it is used for multi-purpose, your utility will not decrease. Okay. Next, C stands for cardinal measurement. So cardinal measurement is speaking about utility can be counted in numbers. These assumptions are unrealistic, as we discussed previously in the features of microeconomics. What did we say? Microeconomics is based on various assumptions. These assumptions are unrealistic, but they make the understanding of microeconomics easier, and utility is a part of microeconomics. So we can see that what was being explained previously, that various assumptions are unrealistic. Okay. Next, C stands for constancy. So all the factors should remain constant. Factors like taste, habit, income, fashion, everything should remain constant. Next, C stands for continuity. The unit should be consumed one after the other. And last, D stands for divisibility, that the units should be divided in further smaller parts. Okay, is this clear to every one of your assumptions? Clear? Shall we move towards the exceptions? Okay. I'll try to fit these exceptions. I'll use another color. Okay. So that for exceptions, I'm using this yellow color. And show the exceptions. We are having very few exceptions. Yeah, so which are those 5 exceptions? First is miser. Who's a miser? Miser is a conjuice person. Okay, so for every additional unit of money which is, so initially we'll discuss what happens in exceptions. Marginal utility is increasing. तो exceptions में क्या होता है? Exceptions में law के exactly उल्टा effect होता है. Law में हमने क्या देखा था? Marginal utility decreases with every additional unit of commodity consumed. In exception, what is going to happen? Marginal utility will increase as number of units consumed is increasing. ठीक है? So जैसे कि हमने यहाँ पे देखा था, यहाँ पे क्या देखा था? Marginal utility is decreasing as the number of units consumed are increasing, right? और उसका उल्टा opposite effect कहाँ पे देखने को मिलेगा? Exceptions में. Exceptions में क्या हो रहा है? Marginal utility is increasing. कब marginal utility increase हो रही है? As more number of units are being consumed. Okay, so now we'll see what are the exceptions. So first exception is miser. Miser is a conjuice person. So every additional unit of commodity which he is getting, every additional penny, every additional unit of money which he is getting, this utility is not decreasing, rather it is increasing. So is it exactly opposite to the law of DMU? Okay, but हर law के लिए, हर exception के लिए एक एक्सेप्शन, एक या दो एक्सेप्शन फुलफिल, अजम्पशन फुलफिल नहीं हो रहे हैं, ठीक है। सो फर्स्ट जो एक्सेप्शन है माइजर का, उस चीज में कौन सा अजम्पशन फॉलो नहीं हो रहा है? rationality. We consider that a miser is not a rational person. We consider him as an irrational person. ठीक है? So the assumption of rationality is not being followed in case of miser. ठीक है? Next, after miser, which is miser की hobby है. Okay? So hobby के केस में क्या होता है? If you are in any of the hobby, it can be dancing, it can be singing, anything, whenever you perform your hobby or whenever you do something that you like, will your marginal utility decrease? No, it will increase. Why? Because, okay, chalo, if someone's hobby is singing, okay, so after singing, will his marginal utility for singing decrease? Nahi. If someone likes to eat pizza, after eating that particular product, is his marginal utility going to decrease? Or collection of coins, collection of stationery, collection of pens, every additional pen will give him more utility. But if that person is given same pen again and again, will his marginal utility decrease? Yes. So in case of hobby, which are the two assumptions which are not being followed? One is continuity and other is homogeneity. That person जिसको गाना पसंद है, is he going to sing all together for 10 hours, 12 hours? No. So can we say that the thing is done continuously? No. Similarly, the person who is singing, is he going to sing the same song again and again? No, he'll sing some different song, right? And similarly, in case of pen, will the person continuously buy the same pen if his hobby is collection of pens? No. So is he following the law of homogeneity or the assumption of homogeneity? No. In this case, in exception, the assumption of homogeneity is not being followed. Similarly, the assumption of constancy is not being followed. Okay. So miser की hobby है. क्या है hobby? Third thing is drunkard. Okay. Or addiction. So what happens in case of addiction? Many of the people are addicted to any of the things. Like drinking milk, drinking tea. बहुत लोगों को आदत होती है हर रोज शाम को चाय चाहिए, सुबह उठने के बाद चाय चाहिए, नहीं तो सर दर्द करने पड़ता है, or anything. देखो a person who's having an habit of drinking alcohol. Okay, so every additional unit of tech which he is going to have will give him more utility. So again, is it against the law of DMU? Yes. So is it an exception to the law of DMU? Yes. But what is the assumption that is not being followed over here? The assumption of rationality. Why? Because the person who's intoxicated or who's having such kind of habits will not be considered as a rational person, because he's intoxicated, he's addicted to drugs, he's addicted to alcohol, so that person will not be considered as a rational person. Okay, so in case of drunkard or in case of addiction, the person won't be considered as a rational person. Okay, after this, which is the fourth point? Power. So after having that intoxicated thing, or after having alcohol, after having that addiction, that miser is going to be powerful. So miser की hobby है addict होके powerful बनने का, ठीक है. So in case of all the politicians, every additional thing of power which he is getting, is his utility increasing or decreasing? It is increasing, right? जैसे कि हाँ, पहले गांव का सरपंच था, फिर how come I can be an MLA, फिर how come I can be a minister, how come I can be a prime minister, और even in an organization, पहले तो सादा वर्कर था, फिर मैं क्या बन गया, फिर I became a supervisor, फिर supervisor से manager कैसे बनूंगा? Everyone wants to have more power, more control under him, right? And for this purpose, after reaching a particular position, he'll never be satisfied. Ulta, he'll want to have more power. So again, power is an exception to the law of DMU, but what is the assumption not being followed? Again, we don't consider that person as a rational person. Okay, and last, fifth assumption which we are going to see is money. So what is money? We studied in 11th standard. Money is what money does. with the help of money we can buy anything and everything, right? So कितना भी पैसा मिले, are we ever satisfied? No. जो हिमालय में जाने वाला है वो बोलेगा बस आई एम हैप्पी विद द मनी व्हिच आई एम हैविंग, बट कॉमन मैन लाइक यू एंड मी, वी आर नेवर satisfied with the amount of money which we are having. We always want to have more amount of money. So money is again an exception to the law of DMU, because every additional penny of money gives us more and more of satisfaction. Okay, clear? तो लॉ ऑफ डीएमयू ने क्या बोला? मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी गोज ऑन डिक्रीजिंग. कब डिक्रीज हो जाएगी? विद एवरी एडिशनल यूनिट ऑफ कमोडिटी कंज्यूम. फिर अजम्पशंस में हमने क्या देखा? रैशनैलिटी, रीजनेबिलिटी, होमोजेनिटी, नहीं सिंगल यूज, कार्डिनल मेजरमेंट, कॉन्स्टेंसी एंड लास्ट वाज डिविजिबिलिटी. फिर एक्सेप्शंस में हमने क्या देखा? मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी कम होती है क्या? नहीं, मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी बढ़ती है विद एवरी एडिशनल यूनिट. तो इसीलिए इट इज कंसिडर्ड एज एन एक्सेप्शन टू द लॉ ऑफ डीएमयू. तो कौन से एक्सेप्शंस है? माइजर, हॉबी, एडिक्शन, पार एंड मनी. ओके, क्लियर विद लॉ ऑफ डीएमयू? अच्छे से पक्का? ओके, सो शैल वी स्टार्ट विद लॉ ऑफ डिमांड? If this is clear to you all, we'll just start with the next topic. I'll just erase all these things. Just give me a minute. Okay, chalo. So till the time I'm just rubbing this, can you tell me what is demand? Again, this lesson 3rd A and 3rd B is having a huge weightage. You can assume, you can presume, not assume, but you can presume that any one of the question from either explain the types of elasticity or what is demand, explain its assumptions or exceptions, can be a question that can be asked for 8 marks. Okay, so remember this lesson is one of the important lesson which you always have to be thorough with. Okay, so demand, we'll just discuss what demand is. Yeah, so what is demand? Demand is a desire that is backed by willingness and purchasing power, right? For example, if a person is so it is desire plus willingness to what? Willingness to buy, and lastly ability to pay, राइट? ये क्वेश्चन आ जाएगा व्हाट इज डिमांड में, तो डिमांड की डेफिनेशन 2 मार्क्स को आ सकती है. तो इसमें सिर्फ इतना नहीं लिखना है, और यू कैन गेट अ गिव रीजन एज वेल. ऑल डिजायर्स आर डिमांड. अग्री और डिसएग्री? Disagree, right? Or we can say demand is backed by all these 3 things. Agree or disagree? Yes. तो डिमांड करने के लिए ये तीनों चीजें नेसेसरी है. Which are those 3 things? Desire, willingness to buy, and 3rd is ability to buy. Okay, example, एक भिखारी है, he is willing to buy an iPhone. Okay, so उसके पास desire है क्या? Yes, उसकी desire नहीं, मुझे iPhone चाहिए. So he is having the desire. फिर he is willing to buy. उसके पास जितना पैसा है, उसके पास 3-4 हजार, he is having 3,000 to 4,000 of money with him. He is ready to pay that amount. But is he having the ability to pay? No. So will that amount to demand? No. Second, I'll give you an example. If you are not hungry, if all your friends ask you to go in the or they take you along in the canteen, तो आपको खाने की इच्छा नहीं है. Means are you having desire? नहीं. But are you willing to buy that product? No. If you are not having that desire, you won't be be willing to pay. And it is willing to pay and not willing to buy. It is willing to pay, right? So you are not willing to pay, but you have that ability. You are having 20 or 50 rupees, whatever is required to buy a sandwich. Will it amount to demand? No. Why? Because you're not having desire, right? And thirdly, if there is a miser, एक तो फ्रेंड ग्रुप में चिंगू रहता है कभी कभार, सो उसको खाना है, he wants to eat a sandwich, he is having the ability to pay, but he is not willing to pay. Can he demand the product? No. Why? Because he is not willing to pay. अगर आपने पैसा नहीं दिया, can you purchase any of the thing? No. So demand के लिए ये तीनों चीजें क्या है? It is very important to have desire, having second is ability to pay, and lastly willingness to pay. ठीक है, ये तीन चीजों में से एक भी चीज अगर missing है, it will not lead to demand. Okay. In for common man, what is demand? For common man, it is said that his need is demand. Okay, but in economics, I want to buy this. Will it amount to demand? No. Why? Because there is no exchange. There money is not being given. I'm not actually purchasing that product, so it will not lead to demand. Okay. So what is demand? We can also say, ये तो आप exam में लिख दोगे. Demand is equals to desire, ability to pay plus willingness to pay. साथ ही साथ you can also write demand is that quantity of a commodity which a person is ready to buy at a particular price and for a given period of time. ठीक है, इसका एग्जांपल देखते हैं. शॉपकीपर के पास 10 टेक्स्ट बुक्स थे इकोनॉमिक्स के, आप कितने डिमांड किया आपने? 1. सो डिमांड इज दैट क्वांटिटी ऑफ अ कमोडिटी. कितनी क्वांटिटी आपने डिमांड की? 1 क्वांटिटी which a consumer is ready to buy at a particular price. टेक्स्ट बुक के पीछे प्राइस लिखी है 70 rupees, 60 rupees, and the shopkeeper is saying that I want to sell it for 100 rupees. Will you buy that product? No. Why? Because he is selling that product at a higher price. So are you going to buy it? No. So demand क्या है? Demand is that quantity of a commodity which a person is ready to buy at a particular price and at a particular period of time. आपकी 12th होने के बाद आप वापस 12th का टेक्स्ट बुक परचेज करोगे क्या? नहीं. So when are you going to buy that product? When you are in 12th standard, right? So demand is dependent on which two things? Price and time. Okay. तो ये क्वेश्चन जब भी आपको 4 मार्क्स को 2 मार्क्स को आएगा डेफिनेशन में, पहले मीनिंग लिखो. For common man, demand is need, but in economics, demand is desire which is backed by ability and willingness to purchase. Thus we can say that demand is that quantity of a commodity which a person is ready to buy at a particular price and for a given period of time. Lastly, you can write any one of the examples. Okay, we can also say demand is a relative concept. डिमांड किसके ऊपर डिपेंडेंट है? टाइम एंड प्राइस, है ना. आपको फ्रूट्स लेने, सब्जी लेने मम्मी ने भेजा, शी विल टेल यू अ सर्टेन अमाउंट. कोरिएंडर, धनिया जो है वो 10 रुपीज का एक बंडल आपको मिल जाएगा. इफ द शॉपकीपर सेज इट इज फॉर 15 रुपीज, आर यू गोइंग टू बाय इट? यू विल से नो, आई डोंट वांट टू बाय इट. बाय बिकॉज प्राइस ज्यादा है, सो यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू बाय इट, है ना. नहीं तो यू नीड सर्टेन काइंड ऑफ प्रोडक्ट्स फॉर वन पर्टिकुलर टाइम एज ओनली for a particular time. Summers के लिए you will buy a cap. Afterwards, are you going to demand a cap? No. So while buying a product, while making a demand, what are you going to see? You are going to see the price of the product and at that particular time. So demand is dependent, or it is a relative concept which is related on two things. It is related on time and price of the product. Is that clear, every one of you all? Okay. So now we'll see. You want to? Should I explain the types of demand? Or directly we'll move towards the law of demand? Okay, a quick revision. What is a schedule? Tabular representation of data. हमारे पास जो भी इंफॉर्मेशन है वो अगर हमने टेबल फॉर्म में लिखी तो उसको हम क्या बोलेंगे? शेड्यूल बोलेंगे, राइट. उस शेड्यूल में अगर हमने डिमांड के बारे में लिखा, उस शेड्यूल में अगर हमने प्राइस और डिमांड के बारे में लिखा, इट विल लीड टू व्हाट? डिमांड शेड्यूल. सो व्हाट इज अ डिमांड शेड्यूल? इट इज अ टेबुलर रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ डाटा रिगार्डिंग द डिमांड. ओके. फिर आता है इंडिविजुअल डिमांड. इंडिविजुअल डिमांड मतलब क्या? एक इंडिविजुअल पर्सन कितना क्वांटिटी डिमांड करता है एट अ पर्टिकुलर प्राइस एंड एट अ पर्टिकुलर टाइम. ये अगर हमने शेड्यूल में दिखाया तो वो बन जाएगा इंडिविजुअल डिमांड. तो इंडिविजुअल डिमांड के लिए हमको दो डेफिनेशंस मिक्स करनी है. कौन से दो डेफिनेशंस मिक्स करनी है? डिमांड चेन शेड्यूल जी. ओके, सो इंडिविजुअल शेड्यूल इज व्हाट, इंडिविजुअल डिमांड शेड्यूल. अगर ऐसा क्वेश्चन आ गया तो आप क्या लिखोगे? इंडिविजुअल डिमांड शेड्यूल इज अ टेबुलर रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ व्हाट, of quantity demanded by whom, by a single person when at a particular price and for a given period of time. ठीक है, तो हमने कौन से दो डेफिनेशंस फिक्स की? शेड्यूल की और डिमांड. ठीक है, अभी इंडिविजुअल डिमांड की शेड्यूल जो है उसके हिसाब से मार्केट डिमांड शेड्यूल इज वेरी इजी. बाय मार्केट डिमांड शेड्यूल में क्या है? ऑल लिखना है और इंडिविजुअल डिमांड में सिंगल लिखना है. तो मार्केट डिमांड शेड्यूल में क्या लिखोगे? मार्केट, हाँ मार्केट, सॉरी, मार्केट डिमांड शेड्यूल इज अ टेबुलर रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ क्वांटिटी डिमांडेड by all the consumers at a particular time and for a given period of, sorry, at a particular price and for a given period of time. ठीक है, तो एक डेफिनेशन लर्न करो, उसके हिसाब से बाकी के डेफिनेशंस आप लिख पाओगे. एंड रिमेंबर टू ब्रेक दोज डेफिनेशंस. पूरा सेंटेंस याद नहीं होगा तो क्या करना है? डेफिनेशंस को ब्रेक ब्रेक करके याद रखना है. ठीक है, देन ओके, फिर मार्केट शेड्यूल में हम क्या करेंगे? Market schedule में you're going to, it is a horizontal addition. Okay, example, when price was 1 and 2. Okay, this is price and quantity demanded by A, B and C. A ने डिमांड किए 5 यूनिट्स, B ने डिमांड किए 10 यूनिट्स, C ने डिमांड किए 2 यूनिट्स. सो मार्केट डिमांड में आप क्या लिखोगे? It will be the addition of what? 10 plus 5 plus 2 will give you 70. राइट, सो हमने क्या किया? हॉरिजॉन्टल एडिशन किया. ठीक है, ये क्वेश्चन आपको 5 मार्क्स का, वो जो एक नया क्वेश्चन आता है क्वेश्चन नंबर 5 में, कंप्लीट द डिमांड शेड्यूल एंड ड्रॉ अ ग्राफ, उसमें भी आप यूज कर सकते हो. इसमें भी आपको कभी कभार कहीं पे तो ब्लैंक दिया होगा, जैसे कि अगर यहाँ पे इफ इट इज शोन एज 10, just okay. So अभी for second unit, just a minute, there's some issue. Yeah. Just give me a minute. Hello. Just a minute. There is some technical issue. Give me a minute. Just a minute. first. Link.